to Taylor to take over the session.
Got it. Thank you, Ellen, for allowing me the opportunity to come here and speak with everyone today. My name is Taylor Young. I'm one of the co-founders of Jackson Communications. We are a local digital marketing agency based out of Kauai. Really quickly, just so I can kind of get a feel of what everybody here does, if everyone could take a quick couple seconds to take themselves off mute, quickly introduce themselves and what your business is, or who, if you are a part of another organization, what your role is at that organization.
So I'll start. Good morning. My name is Joelle, and I have a company in Maui, and I make skincare. That's about it.
Hi, my name is Kara Kim, and I'm on Oahu, and I work for a human resources company. We do staffing and executive recruitment.
My name is Mita. We're part of Hub Co-working. We're on Oahu, and we've got we're in Kaka'ako and also Waikiki. I've got 2 more people from my team here, but they'll introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Josh. I work with Nita and Annette as well at Hub Co-working. I'm the community director. We're a co-working office and event space.
Hi, everyone. I'm Annette. I also work with Josh and Mita, and I'm with Hub Co-working Hawaii on the island of Oahu.
Aloha, I'm Marie Kumabe. I work with Kara, and this program was highly recommended to me by a previous participant with Think. They thought it was amazing, so I'm looking forward to it. We do staffing and executive recruitment and HR. Looking forward to working with everyone.
Hey guys, my name is Nick. I run a print shop in Honolulu called Best Printing. We do everything from like conventional business card printing to large, window graphics, banners, and that sort of stuff.
Oh, Ed, I think you're on mute. Oh,
There's 2 more people, I think, Renee and Ed.
Yeah, you're on mute too, sorry.
Oh, you guys are still on mute, we can't hear you.
Let me see. Maybe if I do this. Okay.
Hi.
Oh.
My name's Ed Fernandez. I'm with Hawaiian Sun Products, who make all the beverages that everyone grew up with. You see on all the grocery stores. So yeah, I have. We started an online store, and so this was recommended. I saw this as a good opportunity to learn how to do better things with our e-commerce.
Thanks, Ed. And then Renee, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Renee, and I am starting a handbag business. I am actually in the probably in just the beginning stages, prototype stages. This is something part-time for me, and my full-time job, I am the assistant to the Hawaii Air National Guard commander. So this is just something on the side for me, fun. And I think it's just timely for me to get on the digital marketing, learning how to use the social media to my advantage. And hopefully, yeah, this course will help me do all that.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for sharing. We have a really diverse group today. Some people who have established businesses, work for companies, and others who are just starting out on their entrepreneurship journey. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. Hold on one second. All right, can everybody see this presentation all right? Perfect. All right, so in today's segment, I'm going to be talking about target market identification and customer segmentation. Some of the main topics that we're going to be covering today are first and foremost market potential. Then we're going to go into types of market segmentation, then methodologies to define your target market, introduction to customer segmentation frameworks, developing customer personas, goal-driven customer segmentation, and then lastly, the importance of customer segmentation. So throughout this process, if you guys have any questions that are really weighing heavy on you, please don't hesitate to throw something in the chat or kind of wave me down and I can stop. We can address it as is, but there will also be time at the end of the presentation as well to answer or to ask any questions you guys might have. So if you write those down, we can also get back to them later. Okay, so there's this quote and it goes, when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. So of course, as a business owner, we simply just can't target everyone in our market. And that may be because our products or services don't appeal to everyone. It could be the size of our business. Maybe we don't have the resources to market to as many people as we'd like to. So originally there was this thought process that you could do this thing called mass marketing. And that's where you take your existing product and you target everyone. But unfortunately, in targeting everyone, you are essentially diluting your message because our messages mean different things to different people. Saying things like my target audience is everyone, or my target audience is women, people with money. If you think about how broad and general that statement is, you would be trying to target probably billions of people. What someone who is in their early 20s might find is as interesting, someone in their 50s or 60s could find little relevance in terms of the impact of their daily lives. So before we can identify our target market, I think it's really important to start off with identifying who the market potential, so what our market is as a whole and how profitable it actually is. So market potential, why is this important? This is important to understand the true demand for your product or service, and if the market that you are entering in is profitable. So how we do this is we calculate our TAM, SAM, and SOM. So TAM, SAM, and SOM are acronyms for 3 metrics to describe the market your organization operates in. So the first, TAM. This is the total addressable market. This refers to the total market demand for a product or service. It's the maximum amount of revenue that your business can possibly generate by selling its product or service in this specific market. The total addressable market is most useful for businesses to objectively estimate a specific market's potential for growth. Next would be your SAM. So SAM is the serviceable available market. So due to the limitations of your business model, such as maybe the specializations of it, geographic limitations, you will most likely not be able to target your TAM. But your service addressable market is the most useful to objectively estimate the portion of the market that you can acquire. Next is your service obtainable market. So unless you're a monopoly, you most likely can't capture 100% of your service addressable market. Even if, say, you only had one competitor, it would still be extremely difficult to convince an entire market to only use your product or service. This is why it's very crucial to understand who your serviceable obtainable market is. This helps you determine how many customers would realistically benefit from buying your product or service. Knowing this is very useful for businesses to determine their short-term growth targets. So here on the screen, you will see a few simple equations that you can use to calculate these different totals. So to start off, the TAM, the total number of accounts in a market, you're going to multiply that by your annual contract value. So the number of accounts in a market is determined by market research. You're going to find out how many accounts are realistically available for you to obtain within your market. Your annual contract value is determined by your company's historical data of existing customers. So to determine the average purchase amount per account over year, and then you're going to multiply that rate you're using to measure. So for instance, if your market has 6,000 accounts at an average contract value of 1,500, your TAM would be 9 million. Next, you would go and calculate your SAM. So this is your target segment of TAM multiplied by the annual contract value. So to calculate your serviceable addressable market, count up all the potential customers that would be a good fit for your business. And then you want to multiply that number by the average annual revenue of these types of customers in your market. So for the example given, if there was only 3,333 people that resided in your geographical area that you serve, with an annual contract value of 1,500, the SAM would be 5 million. And lastly, the equation for SAM. So you're going to take last year's market share and multiply that by this year's SAM. The previous year's market share is calculated by dividing your previous year's revenue by your previous year's SAM. So the example given, if last year's SAM was 4 million and your revenue was 1.5 million, 37.5%. If this year's SAM is 5 million, multiply that by 37.5%, and that will get you the SAM of 1.88 million. So what do these numbers mean? So if we look at the calculations that we did, 9 million as our TAM means that if we were able to capture every single customer that existed in our market, our business could generate up to $9 million. And then so on and so forth. If our SAM is 5 million, this is how much people that within our business model we could potentially attract. And then we go down to our SAM, 1.88 million. This is the number that is absolutely obtainable by your business. So let TAM, SAM, and SAM be a guide through your journey. This thing is rooted in reality and not in hype because you're pulling data and metrics that currently exist for your business. Now that we understand the big picture of our target market, we can begin breaking this down into segments and identify the types of people that actually exist within our total market. So this leads us into methods to identifying your target market. So first and foremost, I love to start out with creating an ideal customer avatar. So this is a fictional representation, or it can be based off of a customer that you already do have and you really enjoy working with. They make up the most perfect and ideal customer. This is the customer that you love to do business with and that loves to do business with you. They pay for the value that you provide. They believe in your product. You folks share the same values. These are the types of people that you want more of. This right here is not necessarily based on data. This is based on, in a perfect world, who would be your ideal customer. Clearly articulate who this person is. Because if we are able to clearly identify who our ideal customer is and who it is that we really want to work with, it's easier to develop strategies and to begin to segment from there and find people that fit that mold. Next, we can look at our competitors. So in every industry, there are a ton of competitors that exist. I know within my industry, in digital marketing, there's at least over 50 businesses throughout Hawaii that I can look at to see kind of what they're doing, who they're targeting, and seeing what's working and may not be working for them. So similarly, if there are any companies that are selling a similar product or service similar to yourself and have been doing so for years, then they clearly already know your audience very well. And for these types of companies, you can look locally, you can look within the US, you can also look within the entire world. Look in other countries because there's a lot of different companies that are doing things that maybe you never thought that your company could do, but as you look and you see the data and you see how their audience is responding to you, what they're doing and who they're attracting could be certain markets that maybe you could also look into as well. And also, this is where you can find the gaps within your competition. So maybe you're looking at an audience that they're serving very well, and that there allows you to identify a few markets that they aren't serving very well. See if maybe these markets are ones that you could serve. Maybe you can improve on what they're doing and be able to gain some of their market share. The next and the most important one, I would say, is to analyze your current customer data. So I'm sure everybody knows about the 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. So when our customers buy from us, when they engage with us on social media, when they come to our website, anytime they take an action or engage with our business, they are giving us data on what they like, who they are, and what they expect from our company. So for anyone who currently has an email list, maybe use Constant Contact, MailChimp, all of these platforms have data that they generate when you do produce these types of email campaigns. So look there, start there. Look at the analytics, see who's clicking through on your email, see who's actually engaging, see maybe who isn't, and maybe you have to build strategies on how to get those people to come back. Next would be your CRM. So you can look at your CRM to see who are your most profitable customers and what do they all have in common. Do they all come from a specific area? Are they all from a specific town? Do they all like the same thing, share the same interests? Look at characteristics between the people that are already buying from you and see if those markets would be the smartest for your business to target. Next, Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a really amazing free tool, and anybody can hook up their website to be able to track their Google Analytics. And here it gives you a wide variety of data on the different customers that are coming through to your website and the different actions that they may be taking on it. Look through your social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok if you're on TikTok, YouTube. All of these different platforms service a different demographic. They service a different body of people. Look and see how your content may be performing on here. Who engages with your content the most? Who likes what content? Maybe they are taking really well to video content, so you want to invest more in video. Look at how your audience is behaving on all of your platforms. Each platform does have its own free analytic tools available on each dashboard. And then there are also third-party tools that you can hook up as well to maybe find some data that may not be available. I know for a lot of social media platforms, the data is available in real time. So usually it'll be within a 1 week period and then it'll refresh to the next week. Next would be customer surveys. Don't be afraid to go directly to the customer and ask them what they love about your business, what they don't love about your business, what is their favorite product, what's their favorite method of delivery. Here you can really get first-hand data from your customers telling you exactly who enjoys your product the most, who's been purchasing the most, and what they like about your product the most. The same goes for interviews, so interviewing customers directly. Look on different review platforms. Look at Yelp, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, Google My Business, things like these, and look for people who are leaving positive reviews for your companies, and also look at people that may be leaving some negative reviews from your company, and see how this data could help you to translate and see if any of those people that are leaving similar reviews, do they have similar characteristics? Are they all commenting on a specific product? Here's where you can gather more data from those platforms as well. And of course, your website. If anyone has a website, this is going to be a really great thing, and you want to check your website analytics daily, if not weekly. And this will allow you to see who is coming to your website, where they're coming from. Are they coming from mobile? Are they coming through search? What pages are they engaging with the most? Is your home page the most engaged with, About Us? And try to find all of these different key metrics that are available on your website that would mean the most to your business. Here's where you can track and see who is directly coming to learn more about your service and or product. And if you absolutely don't know where to start, a really big one is to just start and define who is not your target audience. A lot of times it can be kind of daunting and you can get a little stuck thinking of who is the perfect person for your business, because you can think of maybe hundreds of different people that you believe that your product or service would be beneficial for. But I'm sure there is definitely a handful of people that you can identify that are not part of your target audience. So with our business, we really try to target people that are in the hospitality and tourism industry. So we, of course, know that if a mechanic shop came to reach out to us, they ideally wouldn't be in the market or the target audience that we'd like to work with. So you'd want to start off by identifying who it is that you don't want to work with, and then it'll make it very clear on the types of people that you are looking for. Next is benefits and not features. So the best way to work out which customers to target is to identify who has a need or interest in your product and to begin narrowing it down from there. So you want to start by pinpointing all the different features and qualities of your offering, and then think about who in your current customer base would benefit from these features the most. So if I am, say I'm a car manufacturer and I'm coming out with a new minivan model, of course, first and foremost, we would think, okay, anybody that has children, a large family who has to transport a lot of people would probably like this type of vehicle. I wouldn't target someone who's a single young adult to be driving this minivan. So think of things like that. How is your product or service going to benefit this specific demographic? And from there, you'll know, okay, they have the highest benefits from my product. I'm going to want to direct all of my marketing material towards them. So now that we understand the different ways that we can look for target market or target audience research or data, we have to understand how then to divide them up into different segments. So these are the different types of target market segmentations, and it's dividing a large target market into distinct groups of consumers. So I like to think of target markets like a big lake. Potentially there are plenty of fish that you can catch in this lake, but it's going to take a lot of effort to do that. So you need a different type of lure to catch each type of fish. To put that in marketing terms, some customers will respond to your advertising, while others may be repelled by it or it doesn't really resonate with them at all. That's because the people that we're marketing to are all individuals. They all have their own wants, needs, desires, preferences. And target markets are too large for everyone in them to be motivated by the same thing. So the target market segmentation is the act of dividing, of course, this large target market into distinct groups of customers who have similar characteristics, needs, behaviors. The smaller and more homogeneous your target market, the more likely it is that everyone in that group will respond to the same marketing message. So the first type of target market segment would be, of course, demographics. So this is arguably the most basic of the segmentation types. This is the first step to take in identifying your customer because, of course, this type of information, it's easy to collect, simple to measure and analyze, and is generally very cost effective. So a customer's demographic is based on common characteristics. They can include things like gender, identity, marital status, religious beliefs, income. All the demographic variables and information compiled can then be used to target specific people. And while this data is easy to collect, it doesn't give us too much detail on who the real person is and what they truly love. But from these specific things, so for gender, this is one of the first places that businesses start when it comes to customer segmentation. And while it's good to get an idea of who is engaging with your business, you should make sure that this segment is inclusive and provides plenty of categorization options so customers are accurately segmented into the groups where they feel the most comfortable. Next, age. So age is another common factor that businesses use to segment customers. After all, age can tell us a lot about the person that we're interacting with, tells us a lot about where they may be at in their life. For example, of course, a 10-year-old likely won't have the same budget as someone that's in their 60s. So it's really an important metric to look at depending on what your product or service is. Next would be occupation. So your customer's occupation tells you a lot about their interests and availability. It also can give you an idea of their budget as well as their annual income, especially if they don't disclose this information to you directly. Next would be marital status. So if marital status is important for understanding your customer base, then you can segment buyers in a few different ways. You can categorize customers based on if they have a spouse or not, or ask them if they're in an active relationship. Next, household income. So household income gives you an idea of how much money a customer can potentially spend with your business. Keep in mind that income isn't the only factor at play here. Things like location, occupation, family structure, and more will also influence their overall budget. Next would be education. Do they hold any type of degree? Did they only have a high school diploma or equivalent? Look at things like that. And then lastly, of course, their occupation. So what they may do for a living, because this could help you to understand what their interests are. Next is geographic. So geographic, like demographics, is very simple to collect and analyze. It's objective and it's based on facts about the individual. So geographic segmentation refers to where in the world that your customers are. It can be as broad as the country or as detailed as the city. This type of customer segmentation can be particularly useful for small businesses or for those who want to target a local audience. This way, marketers can ensure they're targeting customers who may actually use their product or service rather than cast a wide net and advertise to unwanted customers. So the first thing to look at would be location. So location is important for a few reasons. First, it tells you where your customers are and how you can find them. It also tells you how you should approach certain segments if they live in different areas. So for example, how you market to people in Hawaii will likely differ from how you market to people in Walla Walla, Washington. Preferred language. It's important to identify the language that your customers prefer to speak, the way you can communicate more clearly and make it easier for them to interact with your business. Transportation is also a big one. Transportation can also present a valuable marketing opportunity for your business. For instance, if your customers take the subway to work, you can buy ad space on trains or popular subways. Another one that I'd like to bring up, of course, after the wake of COVID, there are a lot of people that are now remotely working, and it's slowly gaining more and more popularity as time goes on. So now that people are working from home, we can't assume that, of course, like that initial example, that everybody is driving to work or heading to work in some way. So knowing where your customers are, if they are at home, may be a different way for you to target them using your social media platforms or maybe using search or Google engines. So for example, if your product is weather-based and you are a company that sells ski apparel, geographically, it would not make sense to target warmer areas like Hawaii or Miami that don't have snow. In addition to that, if you look at urban versus rural, you don't see a large amount of ads from Ford or Dodge within a densely populated area like San Francisco. And that is because, of course, this product would be difficult for those customers to use. So these are the different types of things you'd like to look at if you are going to target your audience and divide them up into a geographic segment. Next is psychographic. So psychographic segmentation focuses more on the personality of the consumer, including their opinions and interests. This way of establishing the customer base is often used by organizations and brands that have a certain philosophy, way of life, or very specific values. So for instance, a vegan food brand wishing to target vegans may advertise to people who like vegan social pages or other similar products to theirs. So first and foremost, values. Values are usually harder to identify than fundamental information like age or location. So to determine a customer's values, you need to understand their needs thoroughly and empathize with the roadblocks they face when trying to achieve goals. When you can align with the customer in this way, it's easier to see what they value most in a product, service, or brand. So back to the vegan food example. If a vegan food brand is wishing to target vegans, they may advertise to people who like, again, vegan social pages and or other similar products. Next is interest. While values are characteristics and actions that customers admire most, interests are things that the customer actually enjoys, but may not necessarily be related to your business. For example, your customers might be interested in dogs. So you could partner with a local pet store and run a cross-promotional campaign. This lets you reach customers in places you might have not thought about before and creates opportunities to foster mutually beneficial relationships with adjacent businesses. Next, personality. So personality can be hard to sum up in one phrase or a sentence, but you can segment customers based on different personality traits. Are they outgoing? Are they introverted? Comical? Serious? The more you know about their personality, the more you can adapt your marketing to fit their audience. And lastly, behavioral customer segmentation. So this type of segmentation segments users by their behavior on a store, an app, or website. And of course, in the digital age that we're in now, this is a very important segment to note. So first and foremost would be the e-commerce activity. So anybody that has a website with an e-commerce store set up. Similar to website activity, e-commerce activity refers to any action a customer takes in your online store. So for instance, abandoned carts are a very popular customer segmentation option. You can also segment customers based on the products they've purchased or the product pages they've seen but haven't converted on. Next would be the life cycle stage. So the life cycle stage refers to where the buyer is in the customer journey. Are they a new lead that's ready for a sales conversation? Or are they a loyal customer who's willing to advocate on your business's behalf? Knowing where the relationship stands between you and your customers can help you form a more effective marketing strategy. Next, website activity. Website activity is anything your customers do while they're engaging with your website. For example, you could segment customers based on the first page they interact with. Or you could segment them based on how many times they've visited your homepage or clicked on a certain page element, like a call to action. Next is the last, customer engagement. So you can learn a lot about your customers' relations from the last interaction that they had with your business. If it was a positive interaction, they might be ready for more marketing messaging or a specific promotion based on where they're at in their customer journey. If the interaction was negative, you might want to ping your customer service or success teams to proactively reach out and strengthen that relationship. And then lastly, devices used. How are they finding you? Are they coming through their computer? Are they coming through maybe a tablet? Are they coming through your phone? These are really important to note because this may change the way that you advertise, sizing and content types, and it could also affect the way that your current website or shop is set up. So now that we know the different type of segments that are available, this is just a really quick framework that I like to reference sometimes, and it's called the PVP framework. So the first P in PVP framework stands for personal fulfillment. How much do you actually enjoy working with this audience? Do they share similar values? Do you enjoy helping them? Do you have a good relationship? It's probably no surprise that we, of course, will attract a higher quality customer and execute on our service and our product much better if we actually enjoy working with the customer, because you folks share the same commonalities and you're able to be on the same page with them. V. So this is value to the marketplace. How much value does your offering bring to this audience? Does it have a high perceived value to this specific market? If you have something that's very valuable to a specific segment, you'll want to target them. So for example, if I'm selling guitars, I would probably want to target people who play guitars, who play instruments, and maybe not people who don't. And last, of course, is profitability. How profitable is this audience to you? So after looking at all the markets that you could potentially target, you'll identify a few that are the most profitable to your business. A very general example would be using the demographics to target an audience. So details like age range would identify the amount of money a set of people may be able to spend. So someone in college, or maybe someone who's retired and is trying to save money, would have less disposable income than someone who's maybe in the middle of the spectrum, is in their prime working years, and has a steady flow of income. So this is not to say that you're going to ignore students or retirees. It just means that of those subsets, if we look at things strictly demographically, it's easy to see what audience would be the most beneficial. So now that we understand how to do our research, what ways we can segment these audiences, and a framework to help us kind of dial it down even more, you're going to want to develop a primary target audience statement and a secondary target audience statement. So writing a target market statement that focuses on the most important audience characteristics you've identified in your research is important, so that you know who you are trying to attract in your overall marketing materials. Your statement should include demographic information about the target market. So you're gonna have gender, age, geographic location of your target market, and then potentially key interests of your target market. And then you're also going to state a secondary target audience. And this is simply the second most important consumer segment that you'd like to target. It's not your primary customer base, and they may have less money or fewer demands for your product, but this is still an audience that you've identified as beneficial and you'd like to go after. So on this example right here, our primary audience, say that we own an online fashion store. We sell women's clothing. Our target market would be women in their 30s to 40s who live in the United States and enjoy casual, comfortable fashion. This is who we've identified as a very solid target audience or market that we think would be the most profitable to our business. And then a secondary audience statement would be college students, ages 18 to 25, who live in the United States and enjoy shopping for casual wear. So now that we have identified our target markets and our audiences, we have a general description of the type of person that we're going to want to target within our marketing. So from there, we're going to, put this to action. You're going to want to run some ads, maybe generate some social media posts, change some things on your website that target this general audience. From there, as you go through this testing phase and you see how people are reacting of this total market, how they're reacting, how they're responding, from the data that you get, you can begin to segment these even more. And that brings us into the introduction to customer segmentation. So of course, in the world of an ever-increasing need to be customer-centric, conducting customer segmentation is an absolute necessity. So customer segmentation is the practice of dividing a customer base into a group of individuals that are similar in specific ways that are relevant to marketing. This is to help brands better target their product, services, and content. So the underlying idea is that the customers in these segments will most likely have comparable behaviors and should respond similarly to your marketing activities. So instead of analyzing the entire customer base as a whole, it's better to segment them into homogeneous groups and understand the traits of each group and engage with them in relevant campaigns rather than segmenting on just customer age or geography alone. The way that this differs from the target market segmentation that we just talked about is that we are looking at our own customer base rather than the target market in general. As marketers, we engage in this process so that we can better satisfy the needs of our customers, because we understand that it's hard to determine and satisfy the direct need of every single customer that we have. And a lot of times, these different needs are in direct conflict with one another. So this is the general overarching process of how this is going to work. So once you identify your target market, you'll put them through this funnel of customer segmentation. And out from that, you are able to identify a target customer, a very clear idea of a specific individual that you are trying to work with. So these customer segmentation enables you to uncover valuable audience insights that can help to dictate the content, targeting, and media buying strategies of your digital campaigns. It'll allow you to understand what audiences exist, whom to target and why, and the most effective way to reach them. Without a deep understanding of how a company's customers are segmented, a business can often lack the market focus needed to allocate and spend its precious human and capital resources efficiently. We can't stress this enough to a lot of the small businesses that we work with. Your time and the resources that your business have are so precious and it's so crucial, and you want to maximize those as much as possible. So understanding who your target market is and then segmenting your customers to specifically target a ideal person will be more effective than just saying a general blanket and trying to target all of these people. Being as detailed as possible will only help your business. And also, furthermore, a lack of customer segment focus can also lead to diffuse go-to-market and product development strategies. And this can hamper a company's ability to fully engage with its target segments. So together, all of those factors can ultimately impede a company's growth. So you really want to focus on breaking down your target market into beneficial target customer segments. Next, I'm going to explain a few frameworks that you can use to break down your customer data even more, to develop customer segments, and then from there to actually identify who the ideal target customer or client would be. So the two frameworks I'm going to talk about, one is RFM, and RFM stands for recency, frequency, and monetary. And then the next framework I will talk about will be the needs-based framework. So the RFM framework is a data-driven customer segmentation technique that allows marketers to take tactical decisions. It empowers marketers to quickly identify and segment users into homogeneous groups and target them with differentiated and personalized marketing strategies. This in turn improves user engagement and retention. So this data-driven customer segmentation framework used to identify customers based on the recency of their last purchase, the total number of the purchases they have made, and the amount that they have spent. So recency can help us to identify the freshness of the customer's activity, be it purchases or visits to your website. So an example given would be the time since the last order or last engagement with your product. Frequency, the frequency of the customer transactions or visits to your online store. The example given would be the total number of transactions or average time between transactions and engaged visits. And lastly, monetary. So the intention of customers to spend or purchasing power of a customer. This is the total or average transactional value. So by utilizing objective numerical scales that yield a concise and informative high-level depiction of your customers, you can understand how to better serve them. The benefits of this model are that it's really simple. So marketers can use it effectively without the need for a data scientist or sophisticated software. This model works perfect with Google Sheets or Excel. And also, it is intuitive. The output of this segmentation method is easy to understand and interpret. It'll also help you to answer the following questions. It'll help you identify who are your best customers, which of your customers contribute to your churn rates, who has the potential to become a valuable customer, or which of your customers can be retained. The benefits specifically for e-commerce using the RFM model are that it allows you to be more personalized. By creating effective customer segments, you can create relevant and personalized offers. It allows you to improve conversion rates. So generally when customers feel like an offer is more personalized to them and they resonate with what it is you're trying to give them, it'll yield a higher conversion rate because your customers are engaging with products or services that they genuinely care about. And of course, with both of those things, it'll increase revenue and profits. So here I'm going to take you through step by step of how to do the RFM analysis. So as you can see, before you can begin, you need to define the one KPI that matters the most to your business for each segmentation vector. So whether it be recency, frequency, or monetization. We'll grade each KPI on a scale of 1 to 4. 1 would be the highest and 4 would be the lowest. So the goal is to systematically score each customer according to the recency, frequency, and monetization. We do that by the first rank ordering all customers across our chosen metric and then scoring them based on how well they perform relative to the other customers in our database. So there are a number of different KPIs that you can use for recency. So in this example, we are going to use the date of the last purchase. However, you could also use date of last engagement, such as site visit, conversation with the team, or the click-through rate. Maybe date of last activity as well. You should know which of these metrics makes the most sense for your business. And chances are, if you are a traditional e-commerce store, the date of the last purchase will be your metric of choice. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to want to download our client information to a Google Excel sheet or to whatever types of sheets. I know Apple has its own that you might be using. So here we downloaded this information directly from our CRM and uploaded it to Google Sheets. You're going to want to delete any unwanted columns, and then from there you're going to add your 3 columns for your RFM scores. Title them across the top: recency, frequency, and monetization. Finally, you're going to want to apply a filter to the data to make it easy to sort across. So in terms of orders, total value, and days of last purchase, you're going to want to add some filters on there so that you can easily see from greatest to smallest your data. And of course, if anybody doesn't know how to apply a filter, the process is really easy. You're just going to want to select all of your data, including the headings. And then once all of your data is selected, you'll click Data, which is up in your menu tab, and then you're going to add a filter. Next, you're going to navigate over to your recency KPI and sort the list in the appropriate order. In our case, we go from days from last purchase and sort in descending order. So if we're looking at column E, days from last purchase, we can begin to score each customer according to their position. So while there are a few methodologies for doing this, I found the easiest and most helpful way to organize this is by quartiles. So if you can see here, the example given, if we're using quartiles, the score of 1 would be our top 25%, second quartile would be 2, third quartile would be 3, and then of course our fourth quartile, which is our bottom 25%, would receive a score of 4. And the way you can do that too is by taking your total number of customers and then of course dividing them by 4 and then segmenting them out this way. And in the beginning, don't worry about too much about getting this perfect. For example, we have 2 customers who have both ordered in the last 3 days. I simply assign them both a recency score of 1, even though that puts 5 customers with a score of 1 and 3 with a score of 2. So at this point, your sheet would start to look like this. And then we're going to repeat that process within the frequency KPI. So the process is going to be similar for both frequency and monetization moving forward. And while we are using the total number of orders over the past 2 years as our frequency KPI, there is a number of competing metrics that you can select as well. As mentioned, you could also use sessions or visits. This is especially useful for a news or ad supported business model. You could also use the number of click-throughs if you're maybe in pre-launch. Number of conversions, so any other conversion that is important to your business, you can use that as your frequency KPI. But for this example, we are using the total number of orders. And then that leads us into our last column. So repeating those steps again and categorizing our customers and giving them scores within the quartiles. So although we are using the total value for this example, you could also use total revenue generated, average order value, or you could also use some type of engagement metric. This is useful for two-sided business models that don't directly sell products. So from here, as you can see, now they all have a recency score, a frequency score, and a monetization score. So from there, we're gonna wanna begin segmenting based on these number combinations and things that you found useful that you wanted to track. So at this point, we have the analysis done and now we have the data. This is where the fun part comes. So we actually want to use this newfound insight to identify profitable segments. There are many ways that marketers have used this segmentation to help guide their marketing. So from the data that we went through in that example, I just broke out a few segments that I'd like to identify, and then also some strategies that we could do to target those segments based on the data. So first and foremost, customers that scored a 1 for recency, a 1 for frequency, and a 1 for monetization is going to be identified as our core. These are our best customers. They are highly engaged customers, and who have bought the most recent, the most often, and they've generated the most revenue for our company. Next would be anyone who scored a 1 specifically for frequency. And I'm going to label this segment as loyal. So these are our most loyal customers. These are the people who are going to buy from us the most often. And lastly, these customers all received a 1 within the monetization category. And we're going to call these customers the whales. So these are our highest paying customers. These customers have generated the most revenue for our store. Next, we'll go into some marketing strategies that I've identified once we have labeled these segment groups and how I felt that maybe we could best target and approach them. So for our core group, our best customers, we could focus on loyalty programs and new product introductions because these customers have proven to have a higher willingness to pay. So don't use discount pricing to generate incremental sales. Instead, with this group, you're going to want to focus on value-added offers through product recommendations based on previous purchases. Next is our loyal customers. So these are going to be the people that buy the most often. And loyalty programs are effective for these repeat visitors. You know, advocacy programs and reviews are also common for the X1X strategies. Lastly, consider rewarding these customers with free shipping or other similar like benefits. So these could be, I go to a local coffee shop often and they have a reward program, and for every item you spend and depending on what you purchase, you get a specific amount of points. And it actually, the products that I can get a discount on or use a discount code for directly relate to the type of products that I bought in the past. So it'll be a discount on maybe my favorite pastries or my favorite coffee drink and things like that. And I really appreciate that because they're understanding that I'm someone that comes all the time and I'm going to keep coming. So they are rewarding me for, of course, being a loyal customer. And next would be the whale segment, so our highest paying customers. So these customers have demonstrated the willingness to pay. They don't care what the price is. They're not driven by cost. They love the product, they believe in its value, and they will purchase it at whatever price that you've been setting. So for this, you're going to want to consider maybe some premium offers, subscription tiers, luxury products, or value add cross/upsales to increase average order value. Don't waste your margin on discounts with this group because they've already showed you that they are willing to pay for these products. And I think that subscription tiers are one thing that we've seen as increasing in popularity. A lot of people have been starting to adapt to this model because they realize that customers, they don't mind paying a higher value for the product, and they can also give them more of the products that they do already have. So here we're going to look at a few different types of segments. So I've also broken out 3 more groups. The first group, we segmented them as promising. So they scored a 1 on frequency and a 3 on monetization. So these, we are going to call them the faithful customers. Customers who return often, but they don't spend a lot. So you've already succeeded in creating some sense of loyalty with this customer. So you're going to focus on increasing monetization, and this could be through product recommendations based on past purchases. And then you want to maybe incentivize them to spend more. So spending thresholds. A lot of times you'll see places where if you spend over $30, you'll get this, $50 you get this, and $100 you get this. So these customers have already proved that, of course, they're loyal, they are interested in your product, but maybe cost is a big factor as to why they aren't spending more. So here you can incentivize if you add different spending thresholds for this customer. The next would be anyone who scored a 1 in recency and a 4 in frequency. So these will identify as the rookies. These are your newest customers. They're probably going to be a first-time buyer on your site. And most customers never graduate to loyal. So having clear strategies in place for first-time buyers, such as triggered welcome emails with pay dividends. So with one of our clients, she owns a bikini company, and for all first-time buyers or first-time website visitors, they'll all receive a pop-up email with a discount code. And this is a way to get them engaged with the business, to give them a deal that's a little enticing so that they'll want to come back and spend more. And then from there, we also gather their email address to then be able to market to them through our email campaigns, or actually use their data to target them in Facebook ads. And the last segment that I've identified are the people that scored low for recency and frequency. So they got a 4 in both of these categories. And these people are slipping. So they were once loyal and now they're gone. These were great past customers, but they haven't bought in a while. And for a number of reasons, a lot of customers will leave. Depending on your situation, maybe price deals, new product launches, or other retention strategies. So this was the RFM model, and this is a really fun and easy way for any type of business to kind of just segment their customers and understand a little bit more about what each group is, their behavior, and then from there you can actually think of profitable or tactical marketing strategies to then re-engage or continue to engage with these markets. But by clearly defining them and scoring them, we can really understand where they're at and what the potential could be. So the next framework that we're going to talk about is going to be needs-based. So products and service must-haves and needs of specific customer groups, they all are based on the development of a needs-based segmentation. And this segmentation involves 2 very important steps. So first is a determination of customer needs and requirements. And then second is the analysis to determine which needs group together and for which customers and prospects. So segmenting by needs calls for grouping of customers based on their differing reasons for purchasing a specific item or service, rather than other characteristics such as age or location. So initially you're going to want to do some type of study, some type of survey, interview with your customers so that you can gather this type of data from them. So once again, after you've collected all your data, it's going to kind of look like this because you haven't segmented yet. So you've asked all of your questions and you understand what it is that they may need. So here we've identified product attributes that could be used for identifying needs based. And this will be that some groups of customers require specific features from your products in order to use them. So for example, if your website isn't web accessible, you could be alienating individuals with disabilities. Make sure that you're aware of customers with these needs so you can cater to them and won't miss out on valuable conversion opportunities. So this is something that we would state as one of the needs in this type of framework. Next would be service needs. So service needs are the services that customers require when interacting with your business. For example, I use HubSpot, so I'm going to use HubSpot as an example. If you're a new HubSpot user, you might want to undergo an onboarding process to learn how to use the products. This is what I did when I first started using the platform. Or you might have experience with HubSpot in the past and decided to opt out of this service. Identifying these needs will ensure that you can properly support every type of customer that comes on, because there could be a difference between others that need a little bit more hand-holding in terms of them understanding how to engage or interact with your business and use your product versus others who are maybe more up to speed and quicker to learn on their own and they don't really need the step-by-step. Another good need to point out would be the delivery. If you have a product, the delivery method. So your product isn't very useful to your customers if you don't deliver it at the right time or in the right way. So this segmentation option allows you to categorize individuals who have specific needs in regards to how they wish to receive your product and or service. So after we've identified these 4 different need groups, we can begin to categorize them from there. So we have our needs groups labeled at the top, and then we have our needs, services, products, requirements that we just went over on this side. So some of these are very general examples, but strongly prefers A. So that could be strongly preferring a specific type of product. We identified that needs group 4 falls in this category. Next would be needs B to fit perfect. So this could be that they need a specific product to act in a certain way. We've identified that this is a very strong need for group number 3. Next would be can only use C. So this could be back to what we're talking about with your web accessibility. So this group needs a specific item, service, or thing delivered to them to be able to use your product. We have identified that that is needs group 1. So the next one could be manufacturers with D. So they are really looking for who you're manufacturing your product with. This is something that is very important to them. And we've identified that needs group 2 and 4 are feel very strongly about this. Next would be strongly prefers E. So this could be any type of really strong preference that some of your customers have that you've noticed that a large group of them do have this preference. You can break those out into a needs group as well, which we've identified as needs group 1. Next would be needs F turnaround. So this could be the turnaround time in receiving product. So with the custom bikini company that we work with, of course, they've identified that certain customers do like a faster turnaround time. And these customers, they also have identified are frequent customers, they are high paying customers. So they broke this out into a needs group that they felt they could do a faster turnaround time because they already know their sizing, they know what products they like, they know all of their shipping information. So they broke that out to a specific needs group. and then so on and so forth. So once we break out all of these needs groups and we color code them, now we can see and identify how many people fit in that segment and what type of specific needs that we need to make sure are met for them. So before segmentation, you could see that it's just a bunch of data that we didn't know anything to do with. It's customers with needs, but we don't know what group maybe any of them belong to or what needs are the most beneficial for us to look at. By segmenting these customer bases, now we can understand, what their preferences are, what their needs are, and potentially how many people share these same needs and how we can meet them where they're at. So some additional criteria to remember when you are doing these types of customer segments is to identify the approximate size of each audience. So of course, if the segment is really small, say you have a total audience size of, let's say, 150, and this audience segment that you've broken out is only about 5 people, we can definitely deem that this segment is not worth our time to really investigate further, and we're going to want to focus on the larger segments that we've identified. You want to ensure that there are obvious differences between these segments. So you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty details of the people that make up these segments, and you want to make sure that their differences are obvious so that you're not wasting any marketing resources on trying to target the same people who essentially you could use the same message for. You're going to want to eliminate or redistribute groups that are too small to represent a substantial portion of your audience. So similar to the first one that we identified. You're going to want to identify the percentage of sales that each group contributes. So understanding how profitable each of these segments are will show you within importance which ones that you should be working with and which ones that maybe you won't allocate as much resources to, but given the time that you are able to, you'll then allocate from there. And lastly, you'll want to connect groups to the marketing messages and find platforms where you can effectively reach them. So of course, now that you have these segments, it's really important to understand that you have to speak to all of them in a different way. And where you may put this message won't be in one general area. So the customers that may respond to your direct mail, you may also find customers that maybe better respond to a social media ad or maybe to a direct phone call. So once we have segmented our customer bases, we're going to want to continue to segment even more to find out who our ideal client is. So who is that a single individual that fits the mold of the type of people that are within this segment. So that leads us to developing customer personas. So a customer persona, what is it? Customer persona is a detailed description of someone who represents your ideal client. This person is fictional, but based on deep research of your existing and desired audience. You might also hear it called a buyer persona, audience persona, or marketing persona. All mean the same thing. And of course, as we're going in and thinking of these personas, we want to think of the different items, metrics that make up the segmentation models that we covered in the beginning of the presentation. So we're going to remember things from our demographic segmentation: age, gender, income, education, marital status. We also want to remember geographic segmentation, so noting where the person lives, what country they're from, state, city, and town. Psychographic segmentation, so in these personas, noting their personality, their attitude, their values, and their interests. We'll also want to understand how they are finding us. So are they a mobile user, a desktop user? Do they use a lot of apps, or what type of softwares are they keen on using? And of course, paying attention and noting their behaviors. So any tendencies and frequent actions, feature or product use, and general habits that this client or customer may have. And quickly, before we begin the process of defining customer personas, I kind of want to just briefly go over what the difference between target versus persona is. So our target audience is much more broad generalization of the people that might want our product, but it doesn't refer to who the person is specifically. It doesn't tell us anything about their habits. It's generally just the overarching information of who, where they are, how much they make, what age they are, where they live. By creating personas, we can create a specific definition, specific characteristics of the ideal person that you're trying to talk to. We have details about their habits and work and who they are. By creating these customer personas, it allows us to familiarize ourselves with the people that we're talking to. So by identifying these personas, it'd be the same way as talking to your friend. You know them so well. So anything that you create, from your products to your marketing campaigns, photos and videos, you know exactly how this person's going to react, what makes them tick, and what is going to be the most beneficial for them. And that's why you want to create a customer persona. So first off, of course, creating a customer persona begins the same way all of the other segmentation models did, and that's gathering audience research. So you want to use audience research that we've discovered in our target market identification and customer segmentation models prior. So this will be the general information that we should have gathered, like their age, location, language, spending power, patterns, interests, challenges, all of that good stuff. You're going to want to gather all of that customer data. From there, you're going to want to create identifiers. So a lot of times this persona that you're going to create, it's going to be very helpful if you do have a marketing team. This is something you're not sure for them, but also this is something that's going to be useful for you to identify who exactly are we talking to. So anytime that a customer like this pops up in the future, you can clearly identify, okay, this is a practical Pete, or this is an elegant Annie, because these are the types of traits that this type of customer has. So you're going to want to provide a list of traits that help identify each different persona so that you or your team members can quickly select the most appropriate marketing messages when they encounter this potential customer. Next is you want to determine the roles. So this is going to be content that's relevant to their job title, their role at work, but certainly it doesn't have to stop there. It can also speak to what is their role at home or what is their role outside of work. Next, we want to understand their goals. Understanding a buyer persona's goals is key to offering them personalized and helpful services. Are the things that they are trying to attain within their personal goals, professional goals? Is there a way that your product or service can help them attain that? You definitely want to define the challenges that the persona has. So the challenges section of a buyer persona is going to be one of the most important. This is where you're going to identify the pain points of each buyer persona. And when you understand your buyer's pain points, you can work to solve them. So the best products or services are the ones that can solve the most problems. So you want to identify what problem is it that your product or service is solving for this specific person. Next, understand how you can help. So now that we kind of have a grasp on what their goals are, what role they play, and kind of the challenges and struggles that they're facing, it's time for us to think about how can we help them. So this means thinking beyond just the features of your product and analyzing the true benefits of your product or service. So an example for this one could be it's called HelloFresh, and they deliver packaged fresh meals ready for you to cook at home. And of course, beyond the feature of this being a healthy and quick item for you to, of course, cook dinner for your family, it also saves you time from going shopping to the store. It also may help and benefit people who struggle with cooking and don't know how to really cook. This has an all-in-one solution to that problem. So thinking of ways that go beyond just the general features of your product and really trying to figure out, okay, what is it that they're truly benefiting from in the whole scope of this product or service. And then next, you'll want to use your buyer personas to craft tailored marketing messages and sales strategies. So you want to tell people how to talk about your products and services with your persona. So this will include the nitty-gritty vernacular that you should use, as well as more general elevator pitch that positions your solution in a way that resonates with the persona that you're talking to. And lastly, you're gonna want to personify. So like I said, you want this person to be familiar as one of your friends. You want to know exactly who they are, how they function. And in order to do that, you want to treat this person as if they are a real person. So give your buyer persona a name, give them a job title, a home, and other defining characteristics. You want this persona to seem like a real person. So after gathering all this data, there are various templates, free templates that you can use online, or even things that you could just quickly put together yourself in Canva or in Google Slides. But at the end, these are going to be the different types of personas that I had mentioned. So the first one, we have Tommy Technology. So Tommy is a staff accountant at Founder Accounting. He's completed his undergraduate degree at Penn State and his master's at Cornell University. He has a serious girlfriend and 2 dogs, a Labrador Retriever and a Pug mix. His demographics, he's a male, he's 34, has an annual household income of $125,000, and he lives in a townhouse style condo in an urban area. His goals are to become a senior accountant within 3 to 5 years. He wants to achieve a salary of $80,000 so that he can purchase a single family home, network aggressively in order to build his professional contacts. Some hobbies and interests that he has. He likes to run 5K races with his girlfriend. He likes to watch Game of Thrones. He likes to go out to brunch with other young couples. And once in a while, he likes to take a nice vacation a year to establish tourist destinations. Some of the challenges that he has. He wants to have a more modern website, but isn't the final decision maker. And he struggles with being seen as the young guy in the office and being taken less seriously as a result. Common objections. I love the idea of a new website, but my boss will never go for it. He doesn't see the value in new technology. Next, I'd love to get started on a new website, but I don't think I can get buy-in from my boss. He never takes my ideas seriously. And then Tommy's biggest fears. So getting stuck in a job and not advancing up the corporate ladder as quickly as he'd like, an economic recession that means he'll never be able to retire, and life passing him by too quickly. So when we really understand all of these different driving factors and understand who our buyers are as people, as individuals, we can begin to make our content more geared around them and make sure that we are directly speaking to them, and that whenever we create a new product, we send out a marketing message, that the person on the receiving end, we've already identified and we've worked out the ways that we think that they're going to respond. And of course, there is options for a more detailed persona. This kind of shares the same exact information as Tommy, but has a little bit more detail and showcases a little bit more in terms of brands and products that this persona does like. So have a ton of fun when you are making these, and really, really dive deep into who you think it is that your company is talking to based on the data and the research that you've gathered from your current customer base. So next is goal-driven customer segmentation. So of course, in all of this, whether it's your target market segmentation, customer segmentation, or building these customer personas, you want to make sure that you're doing all of this to reach a specific goal, and that you're not just making all of these different personas or markets, and in the end, you actually don't really know what to do with them. So be goal-driven. create targeted campaigns and ads, or these are some goals that you could actually attain. So you're going to want to create targeted campaigns and ads to resonate with and convert a segment of customers. So you're actually creating specific key marketing ads, let's say on Instagram, to reach people like Tommy Technology, or to reach our target audience or secondary audience. You want to be very clear with what you want to happen once you use this target audience. Another goal could be improving your customer service and customer support efforts by understanding and preparing for challenges that different groups are likely to experience. You may want to increase customer loyalty with customized content and interactions. So actually identifying what content would generate loyalty in a specific group. Maybe you manufacture honey, and you've identified that moms between the ages of, let's say, 35 to 45 are your key market, and they are very interested in long-form content, and they want to know how to use your product in different ways. By creating maybe some long-form blog content with different resources, recipes, and ways to use your honey, you can then create more loyalty in those buyers, because not only are you providing them with a good product, but you're also providing them with the knowledge of how to use your product and what more ways and benefits that they can get out of it. People are often more inclined to want to continue to use your product if they realize that when they first started, they only had one use for the product. And now with engaging with your business and learning more about what you have to offer, they actually have 10 to 20 uses for your product. Another goal could be understanding who your most valuable customers are and why. So really pinpointing who they are, but most importantly, why are they your valuable customers? What is it in your business, in your product, in your service that keeps them coming back? Because this may be something that you're going to want to double down on. This is something that you're going to want to explore and optimize even further. Next would be communicating with segments of customers via preferred channel or platform. So like we mentioned earlier, a lot of people receive messages in different ways, and a lot of people prefer to use other maybe social platforms or softwares, applications than others. So really understanding what their preferred channel is, what platforms is that audience most on, and using that as a form of communicating with them specifically. And then another goal that you could use is identifying new opportunities for product support and service. So using any of these customer segments, customer personas that you've identified to test out new products, to test out maybe some new support that you offered, and see how they react to it, see if it's beneficial, if it's something that you think your company should be investing more time and money in, or if maybe you ran the test and you found out that it's unnecessary. For our client that we set up an e-commerce shop for, we had put in a auto chat bot. And this is because we've seen a lot of people emailing and DMing that weren't necessarily getting a response from the team quick enough. And a lot of it was general questions that could be answered from the FAQ. So we set up an auto-generated chatbot. And once we ran our survey after a week of the website being live, we realized that a lot of people really appreciated that these easy, simple questions could be answered quickly versus waiting for maybe someone who's a part of the company. They are a smaller company, so they're limited in the amount of employees they have, taking, say, maybe 5 days, 3 days to get back to them. One thing I love to do as well, and we do this oftentimes with any of our website projects, whether we're trying to optimize something on the website or if we're trying to determine what type of content is going to be the best, what type of ad is going to generate the most revenue. We like to do A/B testing on these. So A/B testing, also known as split testing, refers to a randomized experimentation process where two or more variables or two or more versions of a variable are shown to different segments of website visitors at the same time to determine which version leaves the maximum impact and drives business metrics. So this is going to allow your team, individuals, and companies to make careful changes to maybe the different content you're sharing, to the type of experiences that you have on your website by collecting data on the results of how these different segments that you chose, whether group A or group B, and how they're reacting to see if, yes, I should pursue this more, or no, I should not pursue this more. Or maybe group A is, of course, more profitable. They're spending more money and they're converting better with this video ad versus group B, who maybe I've done a carousel picture ad and it's not really converting. So we're going to know that we're going to want to stop ad B, double down, and put all of our marketing resources into ad A. So by doing this, it's more than just answering a one-off question or setting a disagreement. This type of A/B testing can be used to continually improve a given experience or improve a single goal, like your conversion rate over time. So next, I want to go into the importance of customer segmentation. So of course, now that we've learned about it, why should we do it? Why is it beneficial for our business? So first and foremost, your business can receive a higher quality revenue. Focusing on target customers will increase your margins and promote the stability of your customer base. So of course, and I'm sure a lot of us know this, not all revenue dollars are created equal. Sales into the wrong segment can be much more expensive to sell and maintain and may have a higher churn rate or lower upsell potential after the initial purchase has been made. Staying away from these types of customers and focusing on ones that are profitable for your business or that engage with you more will increase your profit margins, and it'll help to promote the stability of your customer base. So if you've learned, and you could use the recency, frequency, and monetization model for this one, if you have learned that there's that audience that they used to be a really strong customer of yours, but they haven't been to the website in a long time, they haven't purchased anything in a long time, you're not going to want to spend too much advertising dollars on this group because they're already telling you that, okay, we are no longer interested in your product. So you might want to focus on the other segments that are interested in your product and using all of your marketing resources within that segment. Next, it allows your sales department to pursue higher percentage opportunities. So by spending less time on less lucrative opportunities and more on your most successful segments, your sales team will be able to increase its win rate, cover more ground, and ultimately increase revenues. So of course, businesses, we're all teams. We're a part of a team and we wanna all work towards the same initial goal. And building these customer personas and identifying our customer markets, our target audiences, really helps every person, not only in the sales department, but within the whole company, to understand what it is that they're doing and who they're doing it for. So for your creative team, by creating these segments, creating these profiles, they can truly understand, okay, this is who I'm crafting this message for. That could be really affecting the way that it looks, the types of colors they use, the fonts, maybe it affects the time of day. For your sales team, this gives them a clear viewpoint of who their strategies are geared towards, and it helps them to be able to be more tactical, to be more strategic, because they have all of the details they need for the base of people that you are trying to target. Next is you will have a more focused marketing message. So customer segmentations can help you develop more focused marketing messages. They're going to be customized to each of your best segments, and it can result in a higher quality inbound interest in your product. I know oftentimes when I'm reading certain, maybe certain ads or seeing certain posts on social media, or I'm reading a new blog, and as I'm reading and digesting more of the content, it's really starting to resonate with me. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is something that I needed to hear. This is going to be beneficial for me in my business life or my personal life. I can guarantee you that the person on the other side of that who was creating that piece of content thought of someone who maybe had the same challenges as I do, maybe has the same desires or likes. They created this, like we said, persona. They've identified this segment of people that this piece of content is going to help, that this piece of content is going to resonate with. And of course, marketing messages are so important for customers, for us as people. We see, unknowingly, we see at least 100 advertisements a day, from the different products we have to us being on social media and just scrolling through all of our different news feeds. We're constantly being marketed to. So the more focused your marketing message is, the more you're going to be able to attract someone, because they feel like, okay, this company knows exactly what I'm looking for. I am part of their target audience. I do want to use their product or service. I'm interested and want to learn more. So really focus on creating that marketing message for that specific persona or that specific demographic that you are trying to attract. Another one is that by identifying customer segments and creating buyer personas, you can improve your product or service. So having a clear idea of who wants to buy your product and what they need it for can help you differentiate your company as the best solution for their individual needs. So the result could be increased satisfaction and better performance against competitors. The benefits also extend beyond your core product offering, since any insights into your best customers can allow your organization to offer better customer support, professional services, and any other offerings that make up their product experience as a whole. So one way that we actually, were able to improve a product or service was a new web development project that we did. And I'm going to use our bikini client as an example. Their company is known as Kaipini Bikinis, and they were a custom swimsuit company. And prior to us redoing the website, customers would go on and fill out a form that was about 15 to 20 questions long. And this is how they were going to customize the suit that they were ordering from the company. They would do their prints, their measurements, their sizes. And we noticed that although their traffic to the website, they were gaining a lot of traffic, a ton of people were going to the website, we noticed that everybody was falling off on the shop page or the product page when they were making their suit. And we had realized that basically the process that they had to go through to even order the suit was really, not only was it time consuming, it was a little confusing. And because a lot of them had to put in their measurements, they didn't understand the process or understand the different sizing because there was no hints or direction as to how to size yourself. So after meeting with the client, we were thinking of, one, how can we gather data to actually track what type of suits are people buying, what prints do they like, and what size is the general size of people that are ordering these suits. So we developed a quiz format. So now people that go onto the site to build a bikini, they can either do the initial form that of course she had set up. We have condensed it much more so that it's only about 5 questions. Depending on the suit, it can be maybe 8 questions. But we've created a quiz that takes them through and asks them a set of questions to then end up with a recommendation of the bikini that fits all of the answers that they responded to. So we asked them, what type of lifestyle do they have? We put, are you active, or are you looking for more of like a lifestyle bikini? Then we go, will you be sunbathing or surfing? So we can determine which product will be best from there. And then we go into, what type of coverage do you like? Do you want full coverage, medium coverage, little coverage? From there, we ask, what type of customizations do you like? Do you like ties? Do you like strings? And then we go into their prints. And we broke up each of the prints by categories. And from there, they select which print they want. And then once they've answered all of these questions, it'll come out and compute the end result, which is the product that we feel that they would like to purchase given all of the questions that they've answered. After the first week, we sent out a email blast to all of the customers. She does have a customer base of about 12,000 email contacts. So we sent out a survey asking everybody, how do they like this new quiz builder? Is this beneficial? Has this made the process easier? Are you finding things much easier? Is this less time consuming? And we found that a lot of people like this new way of using the bikini builder to build the suits that they once were using a 20 question form to do. So by understanding these different customer segments and what problems and issues they might be dealing with, you can then create or improve your product or service to serve this demographic more, make their buying experience more enjoyable, the overall customer experience more enjoyable, and then from there they'll want to be a customer of your business much longer. And that was the last slide of my presentation. I'd like to open up the last 20 minutes of the class to answer any questions that any of you may have. And then I also will leave my contact information up on the board in case anybody might have any direct questions that they'd like to ask me or to learn more about what our company does.
Taylor, Mita had a question about whether you'll be able to provide the templates or links to the templates for the RFM spreadsheet and the persona building tool that you mentioned.
I have a tool for the persona building. I don't have a template for the RFM, but I can give you the step-by-step directions of how to set it up. So Mita, you're gonna wanna, do you have a website currently that your customers come and you can gather data through? Okay, I'll do the step-by-step from there. It's just generating a report and getting the data Excel sheet version from your website and then putting that into Google Sheets, deleting all of the columns or data that you don't need, and then adding that recency, frequency, and monitoring. And then I do have a format for the buyer personas. And of course, that's just a starting point. If you feel like you want to add more detail of whoever the customer might be, you can definitely feel free to do so. Oh, Joel, yes, I can provide everybody with the persona template for sure.
If you send it to me, Taylor, I can send it out with everybody when I give them the link to the class recording. Thanks.
Does anybody else have any other questions regarding the presentation, or maybe want to share some segments or ideal customers that they think would be attracted to their business given the current data that they have?
I was just going to say, our business is kind of unique. And when you were speaking, I was trying to think about, we actually have like what we call our clients, which would be the businesses, obviously, who pay us. But we also are kind of the other group would be people that we're trying to track that might be interested in working for us as temporary positions, right? So would that be two totally different customer bases or just two totally different like discussions?
So those would definitely be two different customer bases that you are going to want to segment out, and you're going to want to find the similarities that those segments share. And you're going to want to use any of the frameworks or examples that were given in that presentation, and then you can see which model fits best with which segment.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, so I'm like the persona that you had with the accountant.
Oh, Tommy Technology. Okay.
Tommy Technology. So here at Hawaiian Sun, we do wholesale for all of our jams and jellies, drinks, pancakes, syrups, everything we make, and our candies. So we started. So I came on board many years ago, updated our website, and then we transitioned. Now we're I'm doing a lot more business development. So now we're doing an e-commerce because we had so much interest in our logo on branded, on merchandise, so accessories. So we do
Oh
like
yeah,
dry
I've seen a ton.
bags,
I've seen candles.
yeah, we do beach towels, dry bags, like Yetis, like hydro flasks, hats, and I started this e-commerce with Shopify about a year ago, less than a year ago, and it's overwhelming. So I don't do any email campaigns, so all of this information is very beneficial. So we don't so with our foods we're wholesale, and then with our e-commerce it's direct to customer. So how do I position that? Because we have our customer base in our wholesale, and then we have unknown new entity with our direct customer e-commerce.
Yeah, of course. So with the Shopify, anybody who has come to the site and purchased, any of the products that are direct to consumer, you now have their information. So you do have their email address locked in your database. You have different, maybe geographic, location based, age, different types of metrics that you can base yourself off of. So from there, you're going to want to look at the data and see what types of products are people buying the most out of the specific products that you folks have. So for instance, let's just say the Yeti is the most popular. So maybe you're gonna do a campaign based around the Yeti and try to determine what people have purchased this product the most, and maybe try to figure out why. You could do any surveys through your email to determine. And one thing too that you can do with your email list that you have is you guys can actually develop an email marketing strategy to directly reach out to the people who have already shown you that they are interested in your product. Because of course, if they purchase, especially if they've purchased more than once, you can infer that, okay, they like the brand, they like the products we're producing. Why don't I make it easier? And instead of them having to search and go find my product, I'm going to bring it directly to them.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Does anybody else have any other questions that they might want to ask pertaining to the target market identification, customer personas?
Taylor, I have a question. As far as I don't have a website just yet. I do have a domain, and so I'm just trying to, as you were, talking about the persona, as I'm thinking about, my handbags, some of the graphic designs that I have, and I know all of that will be covered in the branding aspect of the course. But what if I don't have those tools just yet, that platform? How can I prepare myself, to maybe build that persona based on my company and my brand?
Yeah,
I don't know.
of course, that's a good question.
Too premature, or so this is for me, it's very helpful because I'm thinking of who actually, I kind of know who my customer is, but then to just actually identify and pinpoint who that actually is. How can I start doing some of the things without a platform?
Yeah, of course. So with any business, new or has been established for a while, of course, once you go through the testing and you actually market your product, you'll be able to continue to fine tune who your target audience is. But you being a new business and of course not having anything set up just yet, you're going to want to try to get as much of a perfect idea as possible as to who could potentially be interested in your product. So the first place that I would start if I were you is to look at your competitors. Identify at least 3 to 5 competitors, and don't only focus on local competitors. I would also maybe look at people in the States, or maybe even people in other countries that have similar products to you that are successful. And you could kind of take note at what are they, and you can see this on their website too. What is their most popular products? Because a lot of times any retail store you go to, they identify these are our best sellers or our most popular products. You from there can kind of infer, okay, these are the types of patterns I'm seeing that their customers really like in terms of design. These are the size that they like. This is the not the usability of the bag. So if it has straps, if it's maybe just a pouch, and you can kind of from there infer, okay, of my competitors, these are the products that are doing the best, and these are generally the types of people that I see buying their specific types of products. Another thing you could also do is you can use Google Trends. You can also find other tools. One we use is Moz, but there's a lot of other tools that are similar to that that are free. And it's a way that you can search up to determine what are people actually searching for monthly on the web. So we'll use this to identify keywords that are aligned with the businesses that we work with. So for instance, if our customer is selling juices, we're going to try to find keywords that people could be searching up that are along the lines of that. And if you can see that there's a high monthly volume within that category, so if you see that per month 30,000 people are searching for this specific keyword, we can kind of put two and two and okay, there is a demand. People are curious. They want resources for this. They want to learn more. And actually doing keyword research like that not only helps you to identify if there are people searching, but when you do create your website, this is something that you're going to want to incorporate on your website and creating a keyword strategy so that when people do search for these types of products or services, your business is going to come up or your business is going to be within that conversation.
Okay, thank you so much. That was really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Yes, and it's called Moz Pro. And I can find a couple other sites. I don't know if Moz has a free version of it, but there are a couple other sites that you can look up on there. You can also use Google Trends. Google Trends is free. Does anyone have any other questions that I could potentially help them with before our session ends? If nobody has any, oh, no, Shayna does have or Shayna has her hand up. Shayna. You can also, if for whatever reason you can't turn on or take yourself off mute, you can also put it in the chat and then I can answer it there too.
I hope that question was clear, Taylor.
I'm not sure if she's having some technical difficulties, but I've seen her put her hand up in the screen.
Maybe you can type it.
You know, I think she's probably typing it. Yeah.
Nothing came in. Oh, she can't unmute or turn on the camera. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. If you put it in the chat, I can also answer it as well. client base. So Shayna's question is, my client base is small business owners and she wants guidance on how to build personas on them. Well, one really great place to start is if you already do have, clients that you already work with and you interact with them often, they've been a part of your business for quite some time. Look at the types of characteristics that they have, that they share, things that you really like working about with them. What industry are they in? What type of person are they? Or who are you working with directly? So a lot of times with small businesses, maybe you aren't working with the owner directly and you actually may be working with an assistant, or maybe you're working with someone else on their marketing team, and you can actually build personas around them as well. For some of our clients, of course, when we first started, we were thinking, oh, we're going to target, we wanted to work with hotels, and we were saying we're going to target all of the general managers. And then we realized as we began to start working with hotels, one of our clients is the Sheraton Kauai Resorts, we realized that the people that we're actually dealing with is not the GM directly. So you're going to be talking to anyone who's in the head of marketing or who's an assistant to the GM. So building personas around that individual that we've identified and really targeting them, because they're the people that are going to be receptive to our message. They're the people that we're going to be in contact with and working with, not the GM directly. So that could be something to look at too. Who within that small business are you actually interacting with? Is it the owner specifically? Is it anybody else within their business that you might be working with? Look at the type of business that they have. Are they a retailer? Are they a service-based business? Identify them like that and really start to think of the characteristics that they all have. Think of the customers that they serve as well, because of course, depending on what your services that you offer, if you are serving this business and it directly impacts their customers, that might be something you want to look at as well. So we have 2 minutes left. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I'm going to turn the time back over to Laura and Olivia in case they have any other things they need to share for the upcoming segments.
I'll be sending out a link of the recording for this presentation, as well as Taylor's also sent us the deck, so you can just go through it yourself and read it. Taylor, thank you so much. Olivia, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think I have anything else. I probably contact people individually if I have to follow up with them with anything. But other than that, yeah, thank you again, Taylor, and everyone for coming.
Perfect. Thank you everybody again for your time. I really appreciate you all coming and being a part of the cohort. I'm not sure if everybody's going to be in the same cohort, but I'll be teaching the next segment on digital sales funnels, which will be on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So if you're in that class, I'll see you all there. And thank you again so much.
Mahalo, Taylor. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Don't forget this Thursday night.